Derrick, I like swords. I like art, and I'm online right now. Would I like sword art online?
I'm not sure. There's one question I have to ask you.
Yeah.
What do you feel about having multiple waifus?
Well, I already do, so I don't know if I can handle more.
Well, then, man, sword art will be just for you.
Okay, great. Thanks for talking about sword art online. We'll be back next time.
Yep, that was a
Yeah.
wrap.
So, well, sword art online. Talk about it. What's up? What's the
All
deal?
right.
Why is this
So,
isn't the first sword art online, right?
no, this is
No.
like, fuck, I don't know, like the fifth game or so.
Is there a
Maybe.
subtitle?
Yes, this one is a mouthful. It's Sword Art Online Alicization Lycoris.
All right.
Um, it's based around the current season that's going on right now, which is called like the War of the Underworld. It's the
Mm-hmm.
Alicization. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Arc.
Neither do I.
Um, and this one has kind of returned to the more like story heavy format of the games rather than just like go in and you start like just leveling up your character and stuff. And it's kind of like loosely based around the stories of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like like I said, I've put around 50 hours into the game. A lot of that has been very, very story heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably say a good 4, 5, 6 hours is maybe just from grinding out the new daily quest things that they've added in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this one's highly based around the current season of the anime. The entire first chapter is the first season of the anime. Um, Once you kind of like come up into the end of that, it kind of like now starts to break into like how it diverts as a game. Like this isn't a part of the anime. This isn't a part of anything that's going on. This is what they've added for the game. That content kind of starts up.
Okay.
Um, but it's similar to the other ones. You this one you play as Kirito. It isn't until like after that like first chapter that you can actually customize him, which is a really weird thing because he doesn't change in any cutscenes.
Mm-hmm.
So you could switch yourself to a female character, you could change your hair, change your looks, you can change all the looks for the male character, but the moment you hit a cutscene where he's there,
Yeah.
he's back to looking like his normal self.
Oh, really? So your custom
Um,
character doesn't come into the cutscenes?
yeah, which is kind of weird because for this has been like a real big step up in like how the games look.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like it actually like the environments are very rich. The detail has definitely been upped from their previous games.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the last one being, I think the last major one was Fatal Bullet, which was supported for a long while, but it still kind of had that like super like anime art style. To where
Yeah.
this one, there's kind of like the flowing water, the mountains, everything's real nice and visual, and has that like, your next gen look, if you want to call it that.
Okay. So how does the combat work in this? Is it like turn based or is it real time?
This is real-time combat. You have a slight slowdown you can do because you can have up to three people with you.
Mm-hmm.
Two other people with you, three in total, and you can kind of like slow down a little bit to like issue them some commands, or
Okay.
you can also set up like behaviors for them. So if a certain thing happens, they can act a certain way, and as you unlock more of them, you can actually fine tune that even more. Um, which kind of is something that's really cool because it's highly in depth to like how you can break it down as you unlock more stuff for it. Like even a lot of the YouTube community making videos on this is like just touching base in this, and they've even been like, "Hey, we haven't put out any videos on this yet because it's so in depth and we're just scratching the surface. So we're going to show you a little bit of what it can do."
Mm-hmm.
And this guy customized like an entire like raid team to go in and take on a boss. And all he had to do was lock his character around, but they were so customized that depending what was going on and what the boss was doing, what the enemies were doing, like the 10 other characters he had with him were all doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
So they definitely they've kind of simplified combat a little bit to instead of being able to click through for like I think you could set up like 16 commands before because you could kind of do like R2 and then square X triangle circle was a set of moves and then you could press L2 and it would be a second set. and then you
Mm-hmm.
could press R1 and R2 as well, and it would just pop up different palettes that you could customize. With this one, there's just one set, so you can set up the 4 moves. It gives you passive abilities to keep that RPG-ish type thing going. And now you have one armor slot. You can have one weapon. A few of them can be dual wielded, and then you have 2 accessories. Previously, you would be able to completely like slot out every single thing. As far as like wrist, belt, like your typical like MMORPG.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of like simplified that down, and then they've like refined their whole like skill system. So like you can chain. It requires energy to do it, so you just can't go in and just like spam your most powerful moves all day long, and then that's a wrap of the game. Like it really kind of makes you focus a little bit more on the combat and what's going on. Oh, there's a new character named Medina who was added just into the game. She's not a part of the anime at all, and they kind of like they bring her in the beginning, and then she kind of like falls off. So it's going to be interesting to see like how she comes back and like what they do with her story, because they developed her a little bit, and then they like put her on the back shelf. But like she was also like a big selling point of when the game was announced. Like, oh, there's going to be this new character. She has her own little arc, and then this. So it was kind of weird that she got like front gated and then just like pulled into the background.
Hmm. Weird.
But they've been updating it quite often.
Okay.
It didn't like there was like a little bit of screen tearing and stuff. Like it had some like the usual like glitches from launch, but they seem to patch some of that out. They've even with the update that just came out, they locked into frame rate, and you can see that it's a lot more smooth now,
Mm-hmm.
especially playing on like the pro systems.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm not super familiar with the series now. This is single player, right? The online doesn't mean that it's an MMO.
right. Yeah, this is the campaign is single player.
Mm-hmm.
I have unlocked the multiplayer, but I don't have anybody that I normally play with that has it. So I
Okay.
haven't got to test out exactly how it works or what you can do with it. But I know like anything that like all the events and stuff that you come across in the single player game, you can do a multiplayer, and you can go to like the dungeons or go do the bosses and stuff like that.
Okay.
Um, it's just if they've changed it, because before you could always do that and you could just do whatever. If you're on the quest, you could do it. It was super loose. It's never been like completely refined as to like, multiplayer is this. We can tune to this quest. We're doing this specific thing. It's kind of still like that open sandboxish world, if you may.
Okay. And so is the only way to get people into your game is to like directly invite them, or is it like, like an MMO where there's people running around connected and stuff
I
like
think
that?
you'd have to invite them, but I know
Okay.
usually they have like a matchmaking, like they have a separate tab that you can go into for multiplayer,
Mm-hmm.
and then from there you could like they usually have it to where you can sweat it. Maybe if you're working on a certain quest or a certain boss, you could set some parameters, and then you could search for people like that if you didn't have anybody to play with, or you could
Okay.
make your private room and then bring in a couple players and go on with it like that.
Okay.
Um,
Um, yeah.
yeah,
So are you happy with it? Is it what you were expecting?
Yeah, no, actually, it's been like a little more than I expected. Like, there's a lot to do in it. Like, there's like you can go fishing, you can farming. There's tons of quests. So there's quests for skills. There's side quests. There's story quests. There's treasure to find throughout different places. So it really opens you up to explore. But at the same time, it's not like super overbearing. Everything's clearly marked on the map. The map system's done very well. You can always tell what you're looking for, kind of like how to get there, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And it's going to be interesting to see how like this one grows, because it's also like their biggest, like at launch, biggest games.
Okay.
I think this one was around 47 gigs. Usually, like the last like main game, which was Hollow Realization, by the time it was completely done with all the DLC and content, over a couple of years was 47 gigs at the end. So the fact that this one started like this and is already like this big, as I've dumped so much time, I've only seen a fraction of it. And their goal, from what I've been hearing, is to support this game for a long time. Like they kind of have, they have a daily quest system, which gives you a ticket to their cube system, and it's a random voucher for a random there's vanity items, there's like in-game boosts that you can get. I think there's 100 different choices, and then they run that set, which the first set's based on steampunk attire.
Okay.
For 60 days. So you've got, if you do it every day, you've got 60 chances to get, some of these different things that they have it offered, whether it's, a vanity item to where you can set your looks, or if it's a little boosting game, like a couple of the ones I've gotten have been like material to upgrade your weapons, or an hour of increased pickups, or an hour of increased loot drops and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how they continue to support it and what kind of content they add into the game as it goes.
All right, cool. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, I think that pretty much wraps it up. That's a Sword Art game. It's pretty solid. It's what you would expect from one of them. Maybe a little bit heavier on the story than the last couple, but it's definitely been a pretty good play so far.
And what platforms can you pick that up on?
This one you can get on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
Okay, so all three.
Yeah, and the PC version is only through Steam.
Oh, okay. All right, sounds good. So that's Sword Art Online something Lycoris.
Yeah, Alicization Lycoris.
Okay, all right. That's going to do it for that then. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to see more. Check out voxelvoice.com for all of our great content, and consider supporting us on Patreon to keep our content ad-free and independent.